Welcome back to Knowledge Hive, where we believe knowledge is a service and sharing your knowledge empowers all of us. I'm your host, Leisa Sims, CEO of Knowledge Hive. And today we're diving into a topic that has come up in every single conversation I've had with folks about coming onto the platform. How much should I charge? If you've ever dreamed of stepping away from the 9 to 5, or you're already on your consulting path but want to level up financially, this episode is for you. But before I get started, I want to share my, well, that's cool story, thanks to Knowledge Hive. If this is the first time you have joined me, let me do a little 30-second pitch on what is Knowledge Hive after all. Knowledge Hive is an on-demand marketplace for top-tier professionals that are willing to share what they know with others. And if you are that person that is wanting to share your knowledge, then you are a hiver. And if you're looking for help, then you are a seeker. So let me tell you a story about how a small manufacturing company turned things around, not by hiring a big consulting firm, not by burning out their team, but by bringing in a fractional chief operating officer after they put their project in on Knowledge Hive. The company is a small family-owned business, and they make custom metal parts for larger suppliers. Steady business. But lately, they've just really been struggling. Their orders were slipping, customers were getting frustrated, employees were running around putting out fires instead of focusing on their jobs. And the owner was wearing way too many hats. Sales, HR, scheduling, pretty much you name it. So he realized something, that he needed not just more hands on deck, he really needed some leadership. Someone who understood operations inside and out, could bring a different perspective and hopefully untangle the mess that he had going on internally, but without having to go out and hire a $200,000 full-time executive. So he entered his project on Knowledge Hive and was matched up with a very seasoned chief operating officer who remarkably had built her career scaling mid-sized manufacturing firms. She had recently stepped into the world of freelance executive work, coming in part-time and betting herself as a COO for hire on the Knowledge Hive platform. And here's what makes this hiver's story really, really powerful. She didn't walk in with a slide deck and a bunch of theories. She rolled up her sleeves and started digging in. And, her first move was diagnosis. She mapped out the company's entire production flow from the moment an order came in all the way to shipping it out. What she found was no surprise to her, but it was a little eye-opening for the owner. There were 5 different spreadsheets actually running the entire company. Nobody owned key processes, and orders were being promised without good communication checking to see if the machinery that they were using or the people even were available to deliver on their promises that they were making. So the Hiver's plan unfolded in 3 steps. First, stabilize. She introduced a simple cloud-based system that replaced all of those spreadsheets. Now, everyone could see the same data in real time, no more guessing who had what and what if somebody went to lunch and you couldn't get hold of their spreadsheet. Second, structure. She clarified roles. No more everybody does everything. Now, the team leads had ownership. One was quality, scheduling, customer communication, etc., and everybody was accountable for their piece. And third was scale. She rolled out lean production methods, quick huddles, visual dashboards, and red, yellow, green stoplight system for their entire floor, so they knew which orders were on track and which ones were in trouble. And the results, they actually spoke for themselves. In just a few months in working with the COO, the company cut late deliveries by 40%. They reduced waste by 15%, making the owner more money. And maybe most importantly, their employees stopped dreading their work days. It wasn't such a mess. Morale shot up. The customers noticed. They said that 2 contracts that had been lost due to missed deadlines actually came back. And the company grew revenue by 25% without adding any extra headcount. The owner, Seeker, later left a review for the Hiver that stuck with me. He said, I thought a COO was something only big companies could afford, but Knowledge Hive gave us that expertise accessibly, fractionally, at exactly the level that we needed. She didn't just fix our operation, she gave me back the time and energy to focus on growing this business. And that's the magic of executive freelancing. You don't always need someone full time. Sometimes what you need is just a strategic thought leader who can come in and find all your warts and bugs that you can't see for yourself and set up a stage for growth for you. So if you're running a small or medium-sized company and you're overwhelmed by the chaos of operations, maybe what you need is more hours in your day. Maybe what you need is your own version of the COO Hiver from Knowledge Hive. Okay, back to the podcast. If you read the title and if you're nodding your head right now, you're not alone. In fact, almost every executive consultant I know has faced this fear at some point. Part of starting up Knowledge Hive has been literally hundreds of hours one-on-one with people thinking about using the platform and then a follow-up hearing their stories. And so today I'll share some of those and some of the struggles that people have had setting their rates. And they went from undercharging to thriving, and I know that you can too. First of all, you really kind of got to do a little bit of a step back and think about, how do I justify my fees? One of our former Fortune 500 VPs who left to start up her own leadership consultancy, her very first proposal, she quoted $165 an hour for a 6-month engagement with this customer. The client said, yes, right away, quick. So instead of celebrating, yay, I got the job, she felt this huge pit in her stomach and she realized that she had charged less for 6 months of work than she used to approve in a single team offsite budget. Her fear of scaring off the client led her to dramatically undervaluing her expertise. And this is the mindset that shows up when we think we'll lose a deal if we ask for more, when in reality, the opposite actually happens. When you undercharge, clients sometimes lose respect for your expertise and they get a little leery, don't know if they're going to hire you at all. So that was one lesson learned from that Hiver. And then you've got to contrast that with another Hiver that I talked to, that he's a technology strategist. He used to price his work hourly at $275 an hour, but it was kind of a grind. He was exhausted. He was always counting time. He was always, renegotiating. Was he going to be able to get it all done in time? And then one day he reframed his thinking, and instead of selling just by the hour, he actually sold the whole outcome of what he was going to deliver. He realized he could do better coming up with an overall project cost and kind of backing into his rate than just setting an hour. But he was communicating what he was going to deliver, such as, I'm going to do a digital transformation roadmap for a total of $20,000. I'm not sure what the rate was, but the twist is that the companies that used to push back on his hourly rate didn't even blink at the price tag. And why is that? Because he clearly defined what he was going to deliver. So the Hiver told me switching to outcome-based pricing helped me to raise my rate to an amount that even if I finished the work early, I would walk away with what I deserve for the experience that I have, not typical market scale dictated. He now has a confidence in his elevated hourly rate and has no problem at all asking for what he's worth. Third strategy is not necessarily a Knowledge Hive thing, just in general. This person is actually on our platform, but she took some of the things that she learned as being a solopreneur on Knowledge Hive and rolled it out in her own day job business. She learned that having actually a tiered pricing set up, depending upon what the project was, helped her get more matches on the platform. And then she just rolled it out in her business. She's an executive coach, and she used to offer a flat fee of $8,000 for a coaching engagement. Some clients said yes, some said no. Then she tried a 3-tiered offer. It was bronze for just a group consulting. Silver was the group plus an individual coaching, and then gold was coaching, but she was actually on site. And it was a workshop for the leadership, yada, yada, yada. So what happened is most of her clients started choosing that middle tier, and a few even went for the gold. And suddenly her average engagement value nearly doubled. She didn't change her services, she just reframed the choice. And this is called price anchoring. When clients see a high ticket option, the middle one usually feels reasonable. Without the anchor, they just think, wow, $8,000 seems high. But when you sandwich it and anchor it in between two others, that $12,000 rate feels like a smart middle ground investment. So, one last story, one of the marketing consultants that I work with had a bad habit of discounting his own rate. He'd send a proposal for $350 an hour and then immediately add, but I could do it for $275 if that helps your budget. Does that sound familiar? He was negotiating with himself before the client even responded. So we talked about it a couple of times, and he finally tried he sent the $350 proposal, said nothing. And he was really surprised, but the first time he tried it, the client signed up. And he said he realized that he was the only one that thought his price was too high. The client didn't even blink. So I think the lesson there is sometimes your fear is louder than the reality. Clients expect to pay for your expertise. If you don't believe in your value, why should they? So here's the takeaway. Your fear of charging what you're worth is normal, but it doesn't have to control your business. I think some of the biggest challenge that most everybody has is that the biggest barrier on what you can charge is in your own head, not in the client's. So this week, try one action. Raise your next proposal by 10 or 20%, or maybe build out a tiered package that you follow based on how complex the work is. Let me be surprised at how easily clients say yes. Remember, you're not selling hours. You're selling knowledge. You're selling what you have in your head. And knowledge is priceless. If this resonated with you, share it with a friend or a colleague. I'd also love to hear your freelance or consulting journey stories. You can connect with me on LinkedIn or at knowledgehive.co. And thanks for tuning in to Knowledge Hive. New episodes drop every week, so don't forget to subscribe. And if you haven't already, go create a free profile on knowledgehive.co. And of course, if you've got a question or a topic you'd like us to cover, drop it in the comments below. Until next time, we are Knowledge Hive, and we are Knowledge as a Service.